Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be one of two videos. This one is going to be talking about my arthritis, my diagnosis, and kind of how I've gone through this kind of condition over the years. And then the second video is going to be about how yoga has kind of transformed my arthritis, so much so that I became a yoga teacher. So it's going to be that kind of story as well. So this is going to be kind of like a chatty video. So yeah, I've got my tea, my little herbal tea. So grab your tea or a drink and settle in. And I'll try not to go on for too long. I'll try and keep it nice and concise for you. Okay, so going back to the year 2000, I think I was 19 at the time. It was before I was turned 20. I did turn 20 in that year. And I was living with my boyfriend, who is now the father of my children. I was working as a carer for the elderly. I would go drive to their houses, and I would do kind of like breakfast kind of help, and then I'd do kind of lunchtime help, and then help in the evening. And it was doing other things as well, like getting breakfast ready and making sure that they were able to wash and dress and things like that in the morning. So it was quite a busy job. I wouldn't say so much physical. It wasn't really, there was no lifting of anybody or anything like that, but it was definitely busy. It kept me really busy and active. I was in and out of my car all day, and I was in and out of people's houses as well all day, and also in between I was coming home. So I remember one particular morning I woke up and my wrists were kind of really stiff and sore, and I didn't kind of know what it was. Thought maybe it was just kind of, strain from work or whatever. Didn't really think anything of it, but it kept kind of happening over and over. Like in the mornings, just kept I kept getting this stiffness, but it would kind of wear off as the morning went on. Kind of just kept dismissing it, even though it was a little annoying. I just kept dismissing it. Then I started to get the same with my knees. But with my knees, it was a little different. I was getting the stiffness, but I was also getting this kind of swelling in my knees. And that was also really bad at night. So once I'd come home in the evening and I'd kind of relaxed and was settled down, I would, just get this most excruciating kind of pain and swelling, or kind of a redness as well around my knees. And it was just getting worse and worse. So I think I kind of put up with it for a good few months before finally deciding enough was enough. I needed to go and see the doctor. So here in the UK, we always go see a GP first, and then if they think that they need to refer you, they refer you to a specialist at the hospital. So he was like, I think you have arthritis, but I'm going to refer you to rheumatology at the hospital. And around that time, it was about a 6 to 7 week wait for an appointment to get to the hospital. So I kind of waited around that time. He signed me off work at this point, said I needed to rest, just rest until your appointment, and then you can kind of take it from there. So yeah, I was signed off, and that's literally all I did for the next 5-6 weeks or so. Just stayed at home, just potted around the house, just kind of resting, doing as I was told, really. And in this time, in those few weeks, it did seem to progress quite a lot. I was getting loads of pain, and probably because I wasn't really doing anything, that I was getting more pain. But obviously the condition was kind of escalating. It was kind of moving onward. It was getting more full blown, if you like. My knees were just like swollen, double the size. I've got quite skinny legs as well, so my knees were just like, it was like really obvious that I've got like these really swollen knees. And I also started to get kind of pain and swelling in the joints in my fingers as well. So by the time I went to the hospital, kind of all these things were going on, and I was pretty kind of down and feeling really rubbish. And the doctor confirmed that I had arthritis, but it was psoriatic arthritis. And the reason it was psoriatic arthritis is because a few years previous I'd had a car accident, and after that car accident I developed, I think because of the shock of it, I developed psoriasis, and it was like from head to toe, all over my body, like literally. And he was like, a small percentage of people that get psoriasis then move on and get psoriatic arthritis. So he was like, that's what it is. And he was like, it's very much the same as rheumatoid arthritis. However, you don't kind of get the, I think sometimes with rheumatoid arthritis, you get that kind of deformity of like joints and stuff. He was like, you won't get that. So I was like, okay, what do I do? So he gave me 2 separate injections underneath my knees, which would take away the swelling. I think they were like steroid injections, cortisone injections, and then I think he gave me them in my knees, and then he gave me like one in my back or one in my bottom, which was kind of like overall. And then he put me on medication, which at the time was sulfasalazine, was what I was put on originally. And yeah, he was like, this is going to take like a few weeks, maybe about 3 months or so to kind of really get into your system. We'll see you in 3 months, we'll review it. But in the meantime, the cortisone injection should kind of help a little bit. But he still signed me off work for a little bit longer. I think I had like another 3 months off work. And yeah, so I just kind of carried on with that. And stayed at home and rested like they told me to do, and yeah, just didn't really do anything else other than that. And even though the condition seemed to get a little better, I had a little bit more movement, I was able to do a few more things, it still was quite bad. So much so to the point that when it got to like my 21st birthday, I was pretty down, and yeah, I would say pretty down and depressed, because I was 21 years old and I couldn't really go anywhere or do anything. Everything just wore me out. Like I was so fatigued all the time. And it was really quite draining as well, really draining. So it took a while, it took about a year or so for my medication to kind of find its way, and they had to up the dose a few times and yeah, try. And I was taking lots of painkillers as well alongside the sulfasalazine. And yeah, then it started to feel a little better and I was able to go back to work. But it was so tiring. My job just wasn't the same anymore. I was so tired all the time, and it felt like a real struggle to just kind of get out of bed and get moving. And it wasn't too bad once I got moving. But yeah, whenever I stopped, I just felt like awful. Yeah, so that was that. Then I was thinking about leaving my job and going back into office work, which was what I'd done when I first left school. And I was thinking, oh yeah, that's just what I'm going to have to do. But I fell pregnant with my eldest son, so was able to go kind of on maternity leave, and then decided to be kind of stay at home mum. So yeah, that was brilliant. Pregnancy was absolutely amazing, because whatever hormones your body produces when you're pregnant, I had no symptoms of arthritis at all. And I mean at all. After the first trimester, I kind of really forgot that I'd got it, which is strange. But yeah, like, so whatever that is, they need to find out what that is, and they need to bottle it, because it was pretty amazing. And I actually didn't start going back onto medication again until about 3 months after I gave birth. So even then it was yeah, a while before it started to kick in. I suppose it takes a while for your hormones and stuff to all kind of settle and get back into that normal rhythm again. And then, so I had discovered yoga in between this time, but like I said, I'm going to talk about that in another video. But I wasn't kind of doing it like I do it now. It was just like kind of on and off. So when I started to get my symptoms back, I went back to the hospital to get put back on medication, and the doctor that I'd seen previously had retired. and there was a new doctor, and he was like, why on earth were you on sulfasalazine? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about these drugs. I was just told that this would be the one for me. They put me on it. It took me a while to get used to it. And he was like, but you're young, you need to be on a different type of drug. So he was like, there's a drug called methotrexate. You can take it orally, or you can have an injection. You take it once a week, and it will make you feel, he was like, it will make you feel pig sick. He goes, for about 3 months at least, sometimes longer, sometimes less. So your body gets used to it. But once this drug works for you, then you will be able to live like a bit of a normal life again. So I was like, that's amazing. Like, I'll literally do anything. I was still on maternity leave. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter if I'm ill, I'm at home anyway. Even though I've got a little one to look after, it's easier when you're at home, or you haven't got to go to work. So I was quite lucky in that respect. So yeah, I had the sulfasalazine, the methotrexate. I did start with the oral, so the tablets I started with first, and eventually I did go onto the injections, just because it was affecting my liver function just a little bit. And I changed, but I've actually changed back again now. But that's just by the by, that doesn't matter. So I started to take the methotrexate, and it was working quite well once it got into my system. However, this kind of period where I'd kind of been without it, I think things had got worse, but I hadn't quite realised it yet. And I started to feel like loads of pain in my shoulders, particularly this right shoulder. And I was getting lots of pain and lots of stiffness in my shoulders. I was feeling like pain in my feet and my ankles as well. And in my wrists, more so in my wrists than I ever had before. So I went back. I think it was back after the 3 months that I'd been on it. I was starting to see like changes, but I was just noticing all these new kind of pains and stiffness, and it was the pain more than anything that was quite worrying to me. So he gave me x-rayed all my body, x-rayed all the parts of my body, and he said, okay, so this is what's happened. He goes, what you didn't realize was that when you were pregnant, you could have carried on taking medication. He said, but for some reason you didn't. And I was actually told that I couldn't, so I come off it. So he was like, in that time, it's kind of evolved. And he said, the medication that you're on now is hopefully going to kind of suppress your condition kind of getting any worse. But he goes, what has happened? He goes, you don't have psoriatic arthritis anymore. It's evolved itself into erosive rheumatoid arthritis. And he showed me pictures of my feet and my ankles and my wrists. And he was like, you see these really light grey areas? He goes, this is where your bones have started to erode. And it was quite shocking, quite upsetting as well, really. And he was like, this is, what's happened. This is why you need to be on this methotrexate. This is what's going to help you. You're still really young. You haven't had the condition that long. So hopefully, this will start to make you feel better. So it's kind of been like a bit of an up and down road. When I was at my worst, I was not able to kind of get myself dressed. My partner had to kind of help me. I couldn't lift my arms above my head. I was always going to sleep. So afternoon naps were a thing that I always did. Constantly just falling asleep in the afternoon, feeling super tired, and just in loads of pain at night. The pain at night was always like a really long-term thing. I had that for a very, very long time. So one thing that the condition really has taught me, and that is to listen to my body and just really learn about what my body needs. hence yoga and mindfulness. Like I said, I'm going to discuss that in another video. But yeah, I discovered like yoga, I discovered meditation, I discovered breath work, and lots of other little different things that have really kind of helped me get to the place where I am today. And yeah, so one thing that I do want to share is that my condition is actually currently in remission. So a couple of years ago, I started taking, no, actually, it's more than a couple of years ago, it's probably about 5 years. About 5 years ago, I started taking hydroxychloroquine. I was getting inflammation again quite frequently, and I think it was in my knees and in my shoulder. It just kind of crept up. So the new doctor said for me to add in hydroxychloroquine, which I have done, and I've been on that for like 5 years now, along with the methotrexate, which I take once a week. The methotrexate I now take orally again, so they're in tablet form, just because I've been using the injections for quite a long time, and it was really starting to kind of hurt my thighs. I was getting like these, I don't know, it was getting quite bruised and sore all the time on my thighs. And I was getting quite anxious using it. It never bothered me before, but I was getting quite anxious with it. So I said, can I please go back on the tablets? And thankfully they said yes. And fingers crossed, and thankfully up until this point, my bloods and everything, my liver function's all been really good on the tablets again. So that's a really good sign. So thankfully, every time that I get a blood test, all my blood levels are like really good. My liver function is really good. And for the last 2 years, I've been in this kind of remission state with my arthritis, which is just absolutely amazing. And it really is just a combination of all the things that I've been doing. So obviously the medication is right for me. Yoga has just been amazing for me. And other little different things that I do, which, like I said, I'm going to explain in another video. But yeah, just all these little things have just really helped me get to the place where I am today. And also just another thing that I changed, and it took a long time, it took patience, but I changed my mindset, and I changed my mindset about my condition. Like, I knew it was never going to go away. I know it's not curable. However, I knew that I could do things that would make it feel better and allow me to live with it. So I never ever say, you will never hear me say that I suffer with arthritis. I never say that. I say I live with it. It's like, you know, an annoying little sister or brother. that's what it is. Like, you know, you can't live without them now. And it's kind of led me to the road where I am today. So in some ways, I'm quite grateful for the condition, and I think it's quite a good way to look at it. So yeah, like I was saying, I am in a remission state. And this year when I went and had my yearly checkup, she was like, we really need to think about taking you off your hydroxychloroquine. And I was like, it just, you know, like everything is like this at the minute. And if I take something out, I then don't want to kind of upset it. So I was like, can I just stay on it for 1 more year? She was like, we really don't like you to be on it kind of long term. So I was just like, please, just for 1 more year, and then we'll start to reduce it. Because she said that's what we should try and do. If you're feeling good, we should try and just reduce medication a little bit, just see how you go. You can always go back. So yeah, she's kept me on it just for another year, which means that I think it will be in June 2025 will be when we review it again. And then that's when I'm probably going to have to give in and say, okay, let's try without it. So fingers crossed for that. So yeah, that is my story of diagnosis. And yeah, I try to kind of keep it quite short and sweet. So if there's any questions that you've got, if there's anything that you want to kind of know or want me to dig deeper into, talk about a little deeper, then please let me know in the comments. And yeah, I'll be happy to share anything. I'm always happy to share like my experience with it and how I've got on, especially like with medication and stuff as well, because I think it's a little bit of a minefield out there. So yeah, thank you for staying this long. If you have, please give this video a like and subscribe. And yeah, please leave me a comment down below. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.